Have you ever been underestimated by the person who's supposed to love you most? Have you ever been dismissed, belittled, made to feel small by someone who promised to support you? That's exactly what happened to me at a company dinner that was supposed to celebrate success. Instead, it became the night my husband publicly humiliated me, and karma delivered the sweetest justice I could have ever imagined. This is the story of how one word, one cruel dismissal, changed everything. My name is Rebecca, and I need to tell you about the night that ended my marriage and started my real life. I met David 12 years ago when we were both starting our careers. I was fresh out of business school, ambitious, driven, ready to conquer the world. He was charming, successful, confident. He worked in finance, made good money, had that polished corporate professional look. I fell hard and fast. We got married after 2 years of dating. Beautiful wedding, honeymoon in Italy, the whole fairy tale. And for a while, it was good. I was climbing the corporate ladder at a marketing firm. He was advancing at his investment bank. We were that power couple everyone envied. Then I got pregnant with our first child, Emma. She was perfect, beautiful, everything I didn't know I needed. But she also changed everything. The sleepless nights, the demands of motherhood, the pressure to be perfect at everything. David was supportive at first, or so I thought. He'd hold Emma, change a diaper occasionally, tell people he was a hands-on dad. But the reality? He expected me to handle everything. The night feedings, the doctor appointments, the daycare drop-offs and pickups. And my career? That was supposed to continue without missing a beat. I was drowning, trying to be everything to everyone, and slowly, imperceptibly, I was losing myself. When Emma was 2, I made a decision that David never truly forgave me for. I took a step back at work. Not quitting, just stepping off the fast track. I moved to a role with more flexibility, better hours, less travel. It meant slower advancement, smaller bonuses, but it meant I could be present for my daughter. David said he understood. He said family came first. But I noticed the change. The subtle comments about money. The way he'd mention his colleagues' wives who managed to do it all. The comparison to his sister who had 3 kids and still made partner at her law firm. Over the next 8 years, as we had our second child, Michael, and I continued building my career at a more sustainable pace, David's respect for me quietly eroded. He started introducing me as my wife, instead of by my name and title. He'd talk over me at dinner parties. He'd dismiss my opinions about financial decisions, saying he handled the real money. But here's what David didn't know. Here's what he never bothered to ask about or pay attention to. While he was busy climbing his corporate ladder and looking down on my lesser career choices, I was building something extraordinary. 3 years ago, I had an idea for a marketing platform that would revolutionize how small businesses handled their social media presence. I developed it nights and weekends, after the kids were asleep, in the quiet hours when David thought I was just watching Netflix or wasting time online. I taught myself coding. I researched the market. I built a prototype. I pitched it to a small venture capital firm. They loved it. They gave me seed funding. I quietly launched my startup, running it almost invisibly alongside my day job and mom duties. It was exhausting, but it was mine. My creation. My vision. My company. The platform took off faster than I ever imagined. Within 2 years, we had 10,000 small business clients. Major companies started noticing. We got written up in TechCrunch, Forbes, Entrepreneur magazine. We raised Series A funding, then Series B. The company was valued at $50 million. And through all of this, David had no idea. He never asked what I was working on late at night. He never questioned the occasional evening meetings I mentioned. He was too wrapped up in his own world, his own importance, to notice that his lesser wife was building an empire. The dinner. God, that dinner. It was David's company's annual awards gala. Black tie event, fancy hotel ballroom, 500 people. All the managing directors, senior partners, their spouses. The who's who of the financial world, at least in David's mind. David had been nominated for a partnership promotion. He'd been talking about it for months. Obsessing over it. This was everything to him. The validation, the title, the money. He was convinced he'd get it. I bought a new dress for the occasion. Emerald green, elegant, made me feel beautiful. I got my hair done, makeup perfect. I wanted to look good for him, to be the perfect corporate wife on his big night. We arrived at the hotel, and immediately I felt it. The condescension. David's colleagues would ask what I did, and when I mentioned I worked in marketing, they'd smile politely and change the subject. Their wives, most of whom didn't work or worked part-time in non-demanding jobs, would ask about the kids and recipes. No one asked about my actual work. No one saw me as anything beyond David's wife, the mother of his children, the woman who stepped back from her career. We sat at a table with 3 other couples. All David's work friends and their partners. The conversation was dominated by finance talk, deals closing, market predictions. I tried to contribute a few times, but David would literally put his hand on my arm and say things like, "Honey, this is pretty complex stuff. Let the professionals talk." I smiled. Stayed quiet. Sipped my wine. Waited. Dinner was served. Salmon, overcooked. Conversation continued. David was holding court, telling stories, making jokes, playing the part of the successful banker who had it all together. Then someone asked me directly, "Rebecca, David mentioned you work part-time in marketing. What exactly do you do?" Before I could answer, David laughed. Actually laughed. "She does social media stuff for small businesses. You know, helping mom-and-pop shops with their Facebook pages. It keeps her busy." The dismissiveness in his tone. The way he reduced everything I'd built to social media stuff. Something in me cracked. "It's actually a bit more than that," I said calmly. David waved his hand. "It's nice that you have a little project, honey. Gives you something to do besides carpools and PTA meetings." One of the wives, trying to be supportive, said, "I think it's wonderful that you found something flexible. So many women struggle to balance work and family." "Oh, Rebecca's not balancing anything serious," David said, refilling his wine glass. "She took the easy route years ago. Which is fine, you know. Someone had to be home with the kids. I just wish she wouldn't try to make her little hobby sound like a real career." The table went quiet. Uncomfortable. But David didn't notice. He was 3 drinks in and feeling untouchable. "I mean, let's be honest," he continued, and I could see his colleagues shifting in their seats. "Rebecca's contribution to this family is the kids and keeping the house running. Which is important, don't get me wrong. But it's not like she's out here doing what we do. Building actual businesses. Making real money. She's essentially useless when it comes to anything beyond domestic duties." Useless. He called me useless. At a table full of people. At his company dinner. I felt every eye on me. Pitying. Uncomfortable. Waiting for my reaction. I could have cried. Could have yelled. Could have thrown my wine in his face. Instead, I smiled. Set down my fork carefully. And said, "You're absolutely right, David. I'm not doing what you do." He looked satisfied. Vindicated. Like I just agreed with him. The dinner program started. Awards were announced. Employee of the Year. Top performers in various divisions. David was getting excited, straightening his tie, preparing for his moment. Then the CEO took the stage for the final announcement. "Before we close tonight, we have something special. As many of you know, our firm has been working to diversify our investment portfolio, particularly in the tech sector." David was barely paying attention, still riding high on his own cruelty. "I'm thrilled to announce that we've just closed a deal to acquire a 40% stake in one of the most innovative marketing technology startups in the country. This company has revolutionized social media management for small businesses and is projected to be worth over $100 million within 2 years." I felt my heart start to race. The founder and CEO of this incredible company is actually here with us tonight. Please join me in congratulating. I saw David starting to clap politely, still not paying attention. Rebecca Chen. My maiden name. The name my company was registered under. The room erupted in applause. David's hands froze mid-clap. His head whipped toward me so fast I'm surprised he didn't hurt himself. The CEO was still talking. "Rebecca built this platform from nothing while working full-time and raising 2 children. She's an inspiration to entrepreneurs everywhere, and we're honored to be partnering with her company, SocialSync." The spotlight found me. Everyone was turning, looking, applauding. I stood up slowly, smoothed my dress, and walked toward the stage. Each step felt surreal. I could feel David's eyes boring into my back. Could sense the shock rippling through our table. I took the stage, shook the CEO's hand, accepted the symbolic oversized check representing the investment. The CEO leaned into the microphone. "Rebecca, tell us what inspired you to create Social Sync." I looked out at the crowd. Found David's face. He was white as a sheet. "I created Social Sync because I saw a need that wasn't being met. Small businesses, especially those run by women and parents, needed affordable, intuitive tools to compete in the digital marketplace. I knew I could build something that would make a real difference." Applause. "And I want to thank everyone who supported me along the way. My children, who gave me the motivation to build something meaningful. My team, who believed in the vision. And my investors, who took a chance on a working mom with a dream." Notably, I didn't thank David. The CEO continued, "What many people don't know is that Rebecca did all of this while maintaining a full-time position at Henderson Marketing. Rebecca, how did you manage it all?" "Late nights, early mornings, and a lot of coffee," I said, getting a laugh. "But mostly, I just refused to let anyone tell me I couldn't do both. That I had to choose between being a present parent and building a successful business. I proved you can do both. It's not easy, but it's possible." More applause. Standing ovation now. I returned to the table. David hadn't moved. He was sitting exactly as I'd left him, frozen in shock and horror. I sat down, picked up my wine glass, and took a sip. "So," I said calmly, "about those domestic duties being my only contribution." David's mouth opened and closed. No sound came out. One of his colleagues, a senior partner, leaned over. "David, your wife just secured a $40 million investment from our firm. Did you know about this?" She never. I didn't." David couldn't form a sentence. Another colleague laughed, not unkindly. "David, mate, I think you might have undersold your wife's accomplishments at dinner." The woman who'd asked about my work earlier said, "Rebecca, I had no idea. That's incredible. Absolutely incredible." I smiled at her. "Thank you. It's been quite a journey." David finally found his voice. "Why didn't you tell me?" I turned to look at him fully. "I tried, David. Many times over the past 3 years. But you were never interested in what I was working on. You never asked questions. You assumed my work was trivial, so you never paid attention. But $40 million is what my company is currently worth, yes. With projections to exceed $100 million in 2 years. As the CEO mentioned." The table was dead silent. Everyone pretending not to listen while absolutely listening. "How is this even possible?" David asked, and I could hear anger creeping into his voice. "You never said anything about investors or valuations or—" "I told you last year I had a meeting with venture capitalists. You said, 'That's nice, honey,' and went back to watching the game. I told you 6 months ago that we'd been featured in Forbes. You said, 'Good for you,' and changed the subject. I told you 3 months ago that we were in serious acquisition talks. You literally fell asleep while I was talking." Each word was a nail in the coffin of his defense. One of the wives spoke up. "Rebecca, I think I saw that Forbes article. Women entrepreneurs changing the game, right? You were one of the top 10 featured." "Top 5, actually," I said. "But yes, that was the article." David looked like he might be sick. The evening continued, but the dynamic had completely shifted. People kept coming to our table to congratulate me. Exchange business cards. Ask about the company. Take photos. David sat there, smile frozen on his face, pretending everything was fine. But I could see the realization setting in. The humiliation. The understanding that he just publicly called his incredibly successful wife useless, minutes before everyone learned the truth. We didn't speak in the car ride home. Didn't speak as we paid the babysitter. Didn't speak until we were in our bedroom, door closed. Then the explosion. "You humiliated me," David yelled. "In front of my entire company. My boss, my colleagues, everyone." "I humiliated you?" I said calmly. "David, you called me useless. At dinner. In front of people. I didn't mean it like that. How did you mean it then? Explain to me how calling your wife useless, dismissing her career as a hobby, reducing everything she does to domestic duties, how is that not exactly what it sounds like? I was joking. Everyone knew I was joking. No one was laughing, David. They were uncomfortable. Embarrassed for you. He paced the room. You should have told me. About the company, the money, the investment. I'm your husband. I tried to tell you. Repeatedly. You never listened. You were too busy dismissing everything I did as insignificant. Because you acted like it was insignificant. Working on your laptop at night, taking random meetings, I thought it was just some side project. It was a side project. That became a real company. That's how startups work, David. They start small and grow. But you never asked. Never showed interest. Because in your mind, anything I did couldn't possibly be important. That's not fair. Isn't it? Be honest with yourself. When was the last time you asked about my work? When was the last time you treated me like an equal partner instead of a domestic employee? Silence. You know what the saddest part is? I continued. I used to admire you. Look up to you. I thought we were building a life together. But somewhere along the way, you decided my dreams were less important than yours. My career was less valid. My contributions were less valuable. And tonight, you said it out loud. Rebecca, I'm sorry. I am. But you have to understand. No, David. You have to understand. I'm done. Done? What does that mean? It means I'm filing for divorce. His face went white again. You can't be serious. Because of one comment? One bad night. It's not one comment. It's 12 years of small dismissals, subtle put-downs, and constant underestimation. Tonight was just the first time you said it publicly. But you've been saying it privately for years. I love you. You love the idea of me. The wife who takes care of the kids, maintains the house, doesn't outshine you or challenge you. But you don't love me. You don't even know me. Because if you did, you'd have known what I was building. You'd have been proud instead of threatened. The divorce took 8 months. David tried to fight it at first, then tried to claim he deserved half of my company. My lawyers, armed with documentation showing I'd built the entire business without any financial or material contribution from him, shut that down fast. He got what he was entitled to from our marital assets. I kept my company. The custody arrangement was 50-50. David stepped up as a father more than he ever had during our marriage. Maybe losing me made him realize what else he stood to lose. My company continued to grow. We hit the 100 million valuation right on schedule. I hired an incredible team, expanded to international markets, won industry awards. And through it all, I made sure my kids saw that their mom was building something meaningful. Emma, now 11, told me last week she wants to be an entrepreneur when she grows up. Michael, 9, proudly tells people his mom is a CEO. They've learned that being present as a parent and being successful professionally aren't mutually exclusive. You don't have to choose. You can do both. But more importantly, they've learned that your worth isn't determined by someone else's opinion of you. Not even someone who's supposed to love you. Here's what I want you to understand from my story. When someone consistently dismisses you, underestimates you, makes you feel small, that's not love. That's control. That's ego. That's someone who feels threatened by your potential and tries to diminish it to make themselves feel bigger. Real love celebrates your success. Real partnership means supporting each other's dreams. Real respect means listening when your partner talks about their work, their passions, their goals. If you're in a relationship where you feel constantly dismissed, where your accomplishments are minimized, where you're made to feel like your contributions don't matter, please know that you deserve better. Your dreams are valid. Your work is important. Your worth is not contingent on someone else's approval. And if you're building something, creating something, working toward a goal while people around you dismiss it as a hobby or a phase, keep going. Let your success speak louder than their doubts. Let your achievements answer their dismissals. The sweetest revenge isn't confrontation. It's success. It's building something so undeniable that no one can diminish it. It's proving, not through words but through actions, that you are always capable of more than they believed. So if this story resonated with you, if you've ever been underestimated or dismissed, if you're building something while others doubt you, I want you to do 3 things. First, subscribe to this channel and hit that notification bell. Every week I share stories about overcoming dismissal, building success despite doubt, and finding your worth independent of others' opinions. Second, leave a comment. Have you ever been called useless or had your work dismissed? Are you building something right now that others don't take seriously? Your story matters. Someone else needs to hear it. Third, share this video with someone who needs to hear that they're capable of more than anyone believes. Someone who's been made to feel small. Someone who needs permission to dream bigger. And if you're an entrepreneur, a parent trying to balance it all, or someone rebuilding after a relationship that diminished you, I've linked resources in the description. Articles on starting a business, balancing parenthood and career, and recognizing toxic relationship patterns. Remember this, you are not useless. Your contributions matter. Your dreams are valid. And anyone who makes you feel otherwise doesn't deserve a front row seat to your success. Build your empire. Prove them wrong. And when they finally see what you've created, you don't owe them an explanation. You don't owe them your anger. You just owe yourself the satisfaction of knowing you never stopped believing in yourself, even when they did. See you in the next video. And until then, keep building, keep dreaming, and never let anyone make you feel small. You're not useless. You're unstoppable.